And so I'm going to go over, they asked for my counseling history. And so this is not, like, this is just to kind of share my background. Because why am I doing this? Because someone who has no counseling experience might not be in and out in 2 months' time for something related to being sexually assaulted. So I don't want to, like, this is kind of the build-up that led to that kind of experience. So it started when I was like, I think approximately, let me think. I was 10 years old. And I saw a school, they're called child counselors. School counselor. And why? Because I was for being bullied. That is correct. If you are bullied bad enough in school, or in my elementary school, if we were bullied bad enough, we actually had to see a school counselor about it. And I was one of those people. I had to see a school counselor because I was bullied. And then later in life, I went in for PT. So I was sexually assaulted in 2012 and 2013. So I was like 20 years old. Yeah. I was 20 years old. So I went into a psychologist. And it was for being sexually assaulted, and as a result of being sexually assaulted, I had PTSD. For PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And back then, like, so this was as close as I got to help, professional help, in person. This was all in person. This is professional help after being sexually assaulted. It was not right away. It was less than a year, but it was pretty bad for me, PTSD. So that was the start of that, and then also when I was 20, so I went in for being sexually assaulted, and dealing with the PTSD surrounding that. And when I was in there, the psychologist diagnosed me with ADHD. It was just, so in my life, there are times when it rains, it pours. The sexual assault and dealing with that was like one of those times in my life where it rains, it pours. So when I was 20 years old, for ADHD, I saw, if am I doing an arrow or what, a psychiatrist. And that was actually 27 years old. So, I'm going to erase that. For the sexual assault stuff, that was, it was a few weeks to a few months the first time. And the second time I kind of started this video off with. So I saw a psychiatrist for ADHD. I have mild, severe. So there's like, not so bad, so like, I don't remember what the term is that. And then there's mild and then there's severe, and I'm in between mild and severe for my ADHD. And so I saw a psychiatrist, 2 different psychiatrists for, I guess that'd be over 6 consecutive years, nonstop, for my ADHD and talk therapy accompanying medication. And then, so we're almost done. So those are 3. So for bullying, for being sexually assaulted, and the related PTSD. Then for ADHD, talk therapy and medication. And then the last reason I have seen a psychiatrist, not a psychiatrist, sorry. This one was a psychologist. Hard one to talk about. Crisis counseling is for people who are suicidal. I was there. And so the place I was working, they had what was called crisis counselors. So you didn't have to set an appointment. It was like, you just show up and they counsel you. And like, I needed that. Like, hotlines are great and stuff, and they work for some people. I need someone to interrupt and disrupt my thought processes if I'm in a crisis mode. And so I needed the in-person counselor at that point. And I was, it was like it was before my birthday, 2018. So I would have been 25 to... And it was like 3 different sessions, and I had like flare-ups again. I think 26, and that was it. So crisis counseling. For being suicidal. It's not that I'm ashamed to talk about it, just that it's something that's hard to talk about. And so those are so crisis counseling. So I think there's like counselors, but I think they were both psychologists. And I got myself straightened out. Later, my parents got freaked out and called the police on me. I was working out at the YMCA. And my parents were concerned that I was gonna kill myself, so they called the police on me, and the police came to the YMCA and extracted me. They asked a worker to extract me from the building. They just came and asked, like, the police want to see you, kind of thing. And the police, so there were 2 policemen, and they brought 1 or 2 counselors. I think they brought 2 psychologists. They were like mental health professionals in addition to the police. To deal with this. So that's so police, crisis counselors, and police officers, and police force psychologists. Which is like kind of a somber note to end this video on. But those are my 4 experiences, and then getting back to more recent, so abrupt change, sorry, but yeah. So crisis counseling, which is, I saw people both in the office, like I walked in to crisis counseling, and then I followed up with an appointment over the phone, and appointment in person too, actually. And then, so there were a couple of follow-ups, and then I had the police called on me, and the police psychologists as well as police officers address the crisis mode I was in. And so those are the 4 reasons. And then, yeah, there's I had counseling more recently as a 29-year-old, and that was in Edmonds, and that's what I started off this video talking about. But again, so that's kind of my history with counseling. I personally don't mind counseling. I've used it for 4 different reasons, 4 different kind of contexts in my life, and I have nothing against it. I can say that I have not had a single bad counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist in my life. Like, I'm not saying like this is the best thing ever. I'm just saying sometimes perceptions about something. If you get just one bad doctor, right? Just one bad doctor can not ruin the whole thing, but like then it requires some balance. I've been very fortunate in getting only good ones. So my perception of the field is it does what it's there for very well. That's kind of how I feel about counseling and psychology and psychiatry and stuff.